Hello everybody, my name is Aud and welcome back to the Aud Narrations channel. Today we're reading a story titled, Wife of 5 Years, Sexted with Another Man She Works With. As always, if you appreciate these videos and want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button, that way you won't miss the latest upload. Alrighty, let's make a start. I come here seeking advice with how to continue to cope with my situation. My wife and I have reconciled at this point, but I'm still in pain. Background. My wife is an ER nurse, and the guy, I'll just call him John, is an EMT. They've worked together for 8+ years, but not directly. Just periodically when she's working and he brings a patient via ambulance. Apparently, everybody likes John at work, and she's always had good interactions with him, and from my understanding, they've only had a working relationship up until a few weeks ago. But a few months ago, she told me he gave her a prolonged hug that was a little awkward for her. Fast forward a couple weeks, my wife tells me that John sent her an inappropriate message via Instagram DMs. I'm irritated, naturally, but she says she didn't reciprocate anything. I just tell her she needs to set boundaries with him and rethink how she acts around him, because John must have felt this type of message was worth sending for some reason. Nobody just randomly sends a dirty message to a coworker. Another few days go by, and my wife comes home crying. She doesn't want to tell me in front of our 2 young children, 2 and 4, but I get her to tell me in short. She tells me she's afraid she has feelings for someone else and she doesn't know what to do about it. And then she tells me it's with John. Again, mad, but also now hurt. After the kids are in bed, she goes into more detail. She had been talking to John for about a week via Instagram, and she loves talking to him and how he makes her feel about herself. My wife battles with low self-esteem. She said their conversations were 100% platonic until the dirty message I mentioned previously. But he'd been complimenting her and just showing interest in talking to her. Then she tells me earlier this same day, she had initiated a dirty conversation via Instagram with him that went on for 10 to 20 minutes. She swears on our kids, no pictures were sent, just dirty texts. I'm unable to see any of their messages because they happened in vanish mode. Oh, how convenient. She said she'd been freaking out all day about it and how guilty she felt, but that it was good to feel so wanted by someone else because she's so self-conscious about herself. We were able to talk it through and it ended on a positive note, but I did explain it was going to take some time for me to heal. A couple days later, she says she needs to talk to me. She doesn't know how to act around John because she still has to see him at work. I tell her explicitly, I can only handle a strictly professional relationship between you two, and I tell her she shouldn't talk to him outside of work for any reason. She doesn't want to treat John differently at work because co-workers would notice and ask questions. I say, that's fine, no talking outside of work. She was clearly bothered by that, but said that she would do that for me in a sort of reluctant tone. I took her phone Xmas morning, and she had sent John, Merry Christmas, heart, in vanish mode on Instagram. We fight again, and she again explains how she wants to remain friends and there's nothing wrong with wishing someone a Merry Christmas, and that she set boundaries with him and she trusts nothing will ever happen again. Again, we work through it, and it ends on a positive note. I try so hard to end every fight that we have with a positive resolution, and we have a nice Christmas, but I can't stop thinking about it. The positive resolution is that everybody's happy, which basically means whoever is the party that sort of is trying to make it work will always be the unhappy party, because they're going to sacrifice their own feelings sort of to try and get past this. Positive resolution doesn't mean everyone's happy at all. It just means she's happy. She's happy that you're staying around. She's happy you're staying around, and you've told her you're happy, even though you've lied. That night, we get into it again, and I really let my feelings out, and I tell her I can't deal with her maintaining anything outside of a professional relationship with him. Again, it ends well. We actually have sex, but she never commits to cutting things off with him completely. Anyways, long story short, she expressed to me she has had feelings for John. They exchanged dirty messages. No pics or physical intimacy, but now she wants to talk to him outside of work. Am I supposed to trust her and allow her to maintain this friendship? Am I an asshole for telling her who she can't talk to? Do I stand my ground and make her promise she won't ever talk to him again? I really struggle with the idea of her communicating with him in ways that I'm not privy to. She said she can only text him on vanish mode because he doesn't want his wife to see. Lamau, I know. I'm thinking maybe if she can talk to him in a way that I can see the messages, then maybe I'll be more comfortable with it. But she said it would be weird knowing that I'd be reading their conversations. I don't know what to do. I really want to stand my ground and make her promise to cut ties. Frankly, to be honest, you've asked her to do it, and she said no. At this point, unfortunately, it's up to you whether you permit this or not, and basically enable your wife and this John guy to have an open side in their relationship, because that's where it's going. I mean, John's wife is also not privy to it. To be honest, the first thing I'd do is go to John's wife. I'd be like, by the way, this is what's happening. I'm not happy with it. just to want to make you aware of what's going on. And then it's up to John's wife what he does. And John will get the consequences and probably cut ties with your wife for free. Because he's clearly hiding it for some reason. It's almost like this is immoral. Anyway, sorry, bit of a rant. Yeah, to be honest, the thing to do here is not to get her to promise, is to put, you know, there needs to be some threat of consequences, unless there were consequences you promised. If you haven't delivered on them, that's different. But at the moment, from what it reads like, is you're basically begging her to leave him alone. And there's no blowback or anything if she carries on. The thing to do, I guess, would be to be like, if you continue this, if I catch you talking to him again, ever, if I even get a hint that you're talking to him outside of work, ever, we're done. Once she knows that, it's up to her whether she backs off and, you know, matures, or if she continues and you discover it, boom, axe dropped. That's it. It's kind of brutal, but your kids are quite young. They won't know any different. It's a shame. Let's have a look at the comments. Someone left a comment saying, straight answer, she needs to cut out John right now. Block him on every social media and cut him out of her life. She needs to find a new job since she can't work there anymore, since she'll use any chance to be together with John. Build yourself a spine, buddy. Say either you or John. If she doesn't, ask for a divorce. Say you won't tolerate such behaviour. And just go straight to John's wife. John will do it for you. And then you'll get to see sort of the real side of your wife. Anyway, you need to show strength. Don't fall back and let her allow anything with John. If you don't, your marriage will be over. Someone replied saying, OP, here's the deal. Tell her to take the kids and go to John's. Make their relationship real and see how she feels about that. She'll say no and then start to cry. Let her know that this is what you want. You want her to live out this fantasy with him and look at life with the kids. Say this is what I want. And when it doesn't work, I won't be here. I'll file for divorce immediately, letting family and close friends that I filed, why I filed, and naming John as your new boyfriend. Say it just like that to her. I'll not be your backup plan, as I should be first. Tell her to buy the book, and not just friends, and you buy Leave a Cheater, Gain a Life. Let her know that cheating is abuse, and it is best to leave your abuser. When she's crying and begging, say this. If you want to salvage this marriage, you need to go with me to your work, we'll speak with your supervisors, and you'll be moved to a different part of the hospital with 0 interactions with him. Then you'll remove yourself from social media and give me the usernames and passwords. You'll read this book, not just friends, and you'll put 100% of your energy into our marriage. If you can't or are not willing to do this, then there's nothing to discuss and we can co-parent, and I will file for divorce under adultery. I will not tolerate being second to another man in this marriage. So what is your choice? Because I will start packing bags and the kids, and you can go stay with him, or do you want us to work it out? If so, get someone to come over and talk with the supervisors today and go with her. Here is the deal. You say this because that is not what he wants. He wants to fuck your wife and leave you with the mess that he creates. I said all of this to help remove you from the equation. Without you as a backup plan, it dilutes the fantasy and makes it real. You calling her family makes it real, and you filing for divorce and having her served at work makes it real. So make the consequences real. As of right now, OP, you have not delivered one to her. Relationships like this thrive in fantasy, but once reality hits them in the face, they have to deal with the consequences of her choices and the decisions she makes. She'll want her old life back, but you won't be there to pick her back up. Someone else replied, saying, I'd keep my kids with me, the responsible parent, and tell her to get the fuck out. Let her show up crying on John and his wife's doorstep and realize he only wants her for illicit sexting, not a real relationship. I totally agree that she needs to read Not Just Friends before she screws up her life even worse than she already has. Someone else replied, saying, it is a messed up point, but I get it comes from the reality that most parents in an affairs relationship with the other person could not exist as a single parent trying to live on their own. In a way, the marriage has provided a shield of comfort that allows the cheater to do things that would be less likely to happen if it was not for having the betrayed partner there to begin with. 1000%. Someone else left a comment saying, tell his wife. Someone replied saying, this, ruin the entire thing for everyone. If they want it, they have to suffer for it. Someone replied to that saying, I'll be making a personal friendly visit to his wife before I did one thing in his life. She needs to know what kind of creepy ass cheater she's married to. It's the right thing to do. Next, if you are in the try and work things out mindset, OP, at a minimum your wife needs to quit her job today. Get yourself a copy of Leave a Cheater, Gain a Life, OP. 1000%. Someone replied saying, this, nurses can quit today and be working tomorrow. Serious shortage currently. If you report it to HR, they'll probably fire her to protect themselves from liability. I'd also notify his employer, and definitely his wife. Insist on no contact with the affair partner, and full device transparency. 1000%. Someone else left a comment saying, the first thing you do, OP, is let John's wife know what her husband is doing. Do some investigating and get her contact info. Don't tell your wife you're going to do it. Your wife doesn't want her co-workers to ask questions. Exposure will end this emotional affair. Someone replied saying that OP's wife said they need to keep the messages on vanish mode so his wife doesn't see them as insanity. I'm afraid OP has no idea what is about to happen to him. He's playing it cool and his life is about to be turned upside down. Someone replied saying, as soon as I read that, I knew the level of respect this person had for her spouse is 0. She knows he is a pushover and she can take advantage of him, with no spine to step up to John's wife's level of telling her she had to cut John off. This one's really irritated me, I won't lie. Someone left a comment saying, she wants to establish that it's okay for her to have private conversations both in and out of work with a guy that she has at least sexted with in the past and has expressed that she's had feelings for. No good can come from that, and you need to make it clear that where this is heading for the two of you. You can't tell her who she can and can't talk to, and she'll find a way if she really wants to. You can tell her what choice you have made if she talks to him, or hides messages, or refuses an open phone device/password. Go ahead and see a lawyer. Make sure you understand your rights. Frankly, their continued contact at work will be a problem, as that will let the feelings continue to simmer and may offer ways for illicit contact. If there is contact with the affair partner, you have not reconciled. Someone else left a comment saying, find John's wife and let her know that your spouses are sexting in vanishing mode. Don't tell your wife that you're going to do this, and suggest to his wife that she should try and see his phone before confronting him. And then tell your wife it's clear she has feelings for this man and that you're not going to stand in the way of her happiness. Let her know that you'll be working on moving on from this relationship that she is now seriously damaged, and you'll work to end the marriage that her choices are destroying. I know it's a hard and tough line to take, but this is how you actually can save the marriage. You have to be willing to lose it if you're going to have a chance to save it. If she figures out what she's losing for this fling, she may just come around, and if she does, she doesn't get to walk back into it. No, she has to commit to therapy for her with an infidelity specialist and applying to new jobs before you'd even consider working on building something new with her. I'm sorry that she has broken your trust, but the mirror is smashed. It takes a long time before you can put it back together and see your reflections in it. Someone else left a comment saying, and you need to accept that she is trickle-truthing you. They've probably screwed many times on break, etc. Very common for healthcare workers. She wouldn't be having such a hard time cutting contact with him. You should talk to a lawyer as soon as possible. Even if you don't think you'll go through with the divorce, you should know what it will look like and what you shouldn't do. It'll also show her how serious the situation is if she ends up finding out. If you want to save your marriage, it won't be anything short of blocking this guy on everything, leaving her job and never seeing him again. If they keep seeing each other at work, it won't. It'll just keep happening. Even if she really does try and cut him off for a few weeks or months, it'll start back up eventually because they both know they want it and have already been there. You aren't an asshole. In fact, you need to get much more firm with her regardless of what you end up wanting. This cheating is clearly worse than you've let her convince you it is. Get tested for STDs as soon as possible as well. Indeed. Right. Oof. Tough one. So, what do you think OP should do? What would you do in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you enjoy these videos and want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And yeah, we'll have to finish that for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.